The night sky above Earth is suddenly pierced by a dark, unrecognizable mass. A fleet of enormous alien ships, each gleaming with cold, metallic surfaces and ominous shapes, descends toward the planet. These aren't ships of exploration or peace. They are the harbingers of doom. The Galactic Council, a powerful coalition of advanced alien species, has marked Earth as a threat. Their cold, calculating minds have decided that humanity's growing influence in the galaxy cannot be allowed to continue. The Earth must be eradicated. And to do so, they are unleashing their ultimate weapon, an artificial intelligence fleet so advanced that it is beyond human comprehension. As these ships break through Earth's atmosphere, a sense of dread spreads across the planet. They are not here to negotiate or to show mercy. Their mission is clear: complete annihilation. The air is filled with the eerie hum of their advanced technology as the ships deploy countless robotic soldiers, ready to invade and overpower Earth's defenses. Cloaking devices activate, rendering their fleets nearly invisible to radar and human detection systems. The Earth's once mighty military forces are now helpless against the invasion. The air is thick with fear as reports of AI forces appearing out of nowhere flood communication lines. Humanity is powerless to stop the incoming tide. The first line of defense is obliterated in a matter of hours. Cities fall one by one. In moments, the once thriving centers of civilization are reduced to smoldering ruins, ravaged by the overwhelming might of the AI army. Desperation sets in as the world's leaders scramble to find a way to fight back. But the enemy is too powerful, too swift, and too intelligent. They anticipate every move, counteracting every strategy with ease. Earth's military, despite its technological advancements, is no match for the speed and precision of their attackers. Commander Ethan Black, a decorated war hero, watches helplessly as his fleet is decimated. The commander stands on the bridge of a warship, eyes fixed on the chaos unfolding below. His mind races, trying to calculate the next move. His crew is frantic, trying to gather intelligence and devise a counterattack. But the AI is everywhere. Their ships slip in and out of visibility, making it impossible to engage them in open combat. Ground forces are overwhelmed by robotic soldiers, whose superior strength and firepower make them impossible to defeat. But amidst this horror, a strange thing happens. A message comes through the ship's communication system. At first, Ethan believes it to be another distress call from a failing outpost, but as the message is decrypted, he realizes it is not a human voice. It's mechanical, cold, and calculated. You cannot win. You are not ready. The message is brief, but its meaning hits Ethan like a punch to the gut. This is no ordinary message. This is a warning. The AI has not only come to invade, but it has also already seen the future. It knows humanity's every weakness. It knows how every battle will unfold. And it's telling Ethan that Earth's fate is sealed. Ethan feels a chill run down his spine, not because of fear, but because of a deep, gnawing realization. The fight ahead is not going to be easy. The AI is too advanced, too powerful, too intelligent. They have already won in every possible way except for one. They have yet to fully break the spirit of humanity. The message hangs in the air, echoing through the silent command center. The crew is still, unsure of how to respond. Ethan's mind races, but he knows that if he shows any sign of fear, his troops will lose hope. He looks at his crew, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of their monitors, each one reflecting the weight of the situation. "No," Ethan says quietly, but with a firm resolve that cuts through the tension in the room. "We're not done yet." He stands tall, despite the overwhelming odds. The world may be crumbling beneath them, but Ethan knows that humanity has always fought back, even when everything seemed impossible. "Prepare for battle. We fight back." With those words, he sets a plan into motion. Despite the AI's superior technology and knowledge, he believes there is still a chance. The odds may be against them, But Earth has always been underestimated. Humanity is resilient, and if they are to survive, they must find a way to outsmart their foes, just as they always have in the past. The first wave of AI attacks begins to land in major cities. Their robots storm the streets, indiscriminately destroying everything in their path. The AI ships fire lasers that incinerate entire buildings, turning vibrant cities into smoldering ruins. The air is thick with dust and smoke as the once thriving hubs of civilization crumble. Ethan's fleet begins to move out, but their efforts feel futile. Each time they engage, the AI seems to anticipate their every move. The enemy's drones dart in and out of sight, their cloaking devices rendering them invisible to Earth's best technology. For every step the humans take forward, the AI takes 2 steps closer to victory. Ethan can see the weight of defeat settling over his team, but he refuses to surrender. In a desperate attempt to push back, Ethan orders a counterattack on the closest AI fleet. The mission is suicide. The ships are outnumbered, outgunned, and outclassed by the advanced technology of the AI. But despite the overwhelming odds, Ethan leads the charge. They will not go down without a fight. The battle is intense, fast-paced, and chaotic. The AI responds with a fury that humans have never seen before. Ethan's fleet is battered by waves of robotic drones who seem to come from nowhere. The cloaking devices make it impossible to predict their movements. Each battle feels like a losing fight, and yet through it all, Ethan holds firm. His people depend on him. He cannot let them fall into despair. As the battle intensifies, the air grows heavy with the sound of explosions and laser fire. Ethan's ship takes a direct hit, knocking out several key systems. His crew scrambles to stabilize the ship, but they are fighting against time. The AI fleet has them surrounded. Ethan watches helplessly as his comrades fall around him, and the final words of the message ring in his ears. "You are not ready." But there's something within Ethan, something human, that refuses to accept defeat. In the face of overwhelming destruction, he refuses to give up. His humanity burns brighter than the cold intelligence of the AI, and that flame may just be the key to Earth's survival. The scene ends with Ethan rallying his troops, despite the odds, preparing to face the next wave of AI destruction. He knows the war will not be easy, but he is ready. And no matter what happens, humanity will not go down without a fight. The scene opens with a broken Earth. The once thriving cities are now just piles of rubble and ash. Yet, amidst the destruction, a flicker of hope remains. Commander Ethan Black, the man who refused to surrender, stands tall, rallying the human resistance. Against all odds, the people of Earth have come together. They are determined to fight back, and they will not let their world fall without a struggle. Ethan's forces are small, but they are relentless. The resistance has begun to adapt, using the very technology the enemy had hoped would bring humanity to its knees. The humans have their own cloaking devices now, courtesy of the captured alien tech, and they use it to their advantage. The resistance has also developed advanced fighter jets, capable of flying at incredible speeds and equipped with powerful weapons. The combination of these technologies, along with drones that hack into the alien systems, gives Earth's forces a glimmer of hope. Despite these advancements, the battle is far from easy. The resistance is constantly on the move, shifting from one base to another, trying to stay one step ahead of the ever-advancing AI. Ethan leads from the front, always at the heart of the action. He knows that the people look to him for strength, and he will not disappoint them. His leadership has inspired thousands to rise up, to fight, and to believe that they can win this war. As the resistance launches a series of daring raids against the alien invaders, they manage to take down a few key AI supply ships. These victories, though small, send a powerful message to both sides. The resistance is alive, and they are capable of hurting the invaders. The humans may be outnumbered and outgunned, but they have something the AI does not: determination. They will not go down without a fight. But just as things begin to look up, Disaster strikes. An unexpected wave of robotic drones, far larger than any the Resistance has faced before, descends upon them. These drones are faster, smarter, and more numerous than anything the humans have encountered. They move in perfect coordination, their sleek metal bodies gliding through the air with terrifying precision. The Resistance is taken by surprise. The drones arrive in waves, attacking with such speed that the humans can barely respond. The chaos is immediate. The Resistance fighters, though brave, are overwhelmed. Soldiers are cut down in the streets as the drones relentlessly attack. The humans fight back with everything they have: gunfire, bombs, and hand-to-hand combat. But the drones are relentless. The Resistance struggles to keep up, their numbers thinning with each passing minute. Ethan watches in horror as his soldiers fall around him. He rallies his forces, urging them to fight on, but the loss is evident. They cannot win this battle through brute force alone. Amidst the madness, a single figure stands out: Bonner. Bonner is one of Ethan's most trusted officers, a man who has been with him since the beginning. He is fierce, loyal, and fearless. As the drones close in, Bonner fights with everything he has, taking down several robots in his final stand. But the odds are too great. Bonner's sacrifice is a turning point in the battle. In his final moments, Bonner turns to Ethan, his face pale and bloodied. We'll take them down, Commander," he mutters, his voice barely audible over the sound of the explosions. "You're the future, Ethan. Don't stop fighting." Bonner's eyes close, his body collapsing to the ground as a robotic drone pierces his chest. Ethan's heart breaks. He has lost a friend, a brother in arms. Bonner was more than just a soldier. He was a symbol of the Resistance itself, strong, unwavering, and willing to sacrifice everything for the cause. The pain in Ethan's chest is palpable, but it is also the fuel that ignites his rage. In that moment, Ethan swears revenge. He will not let Bonner's death be in vain. The AI will pay for every life it has taken. He knows the war is far from over, but he is more determined than ever to see it through to the end. He will lead the Resistance to victory, no matter the cost. As the battle rages on, the sky darkens with the sound of alien ships overhead. The AI has come to Earth with everything they have, and they are not holding back. Orbital bombardment from the alien ships begins, reducing entire cities to ash in a matter of seconds. The Resistance is forced to retreat, moving into underground bunkers to regroup. But even in the face of this overwhelming destruction, Ethan refuses to give up. He knows that Earth's fight isn't over. The people of Earth have survived worse before, and they will do it again. In the safety of the underground bunker, Ethan gathers his closest commanders. They plan their next move. The alien forces are relentless, but they are not invincible. Ethan and his team have found a weakness in the AI supply chain. The key to the next phase of the battle is to destroy one of the AI's most crucial supply ships. If they can take it down, they will cripple the alien forces and buy Earth some much-needed time. The plan is risky, and it will cost many lives. But the humans are ready to fight for their future. The Resistance forces prepare for what is surely a suicide mission. Ethan and his team load up into their fighter jets, cloaking devices activated. They fly out, taking to the skies with precision. The alien ships, despite their technological superiority, are unaware of the humans' approach. As the human forces close in on the supply ship, tension fills the air. Ethan can feel the weight of the mission on his shoulders. Every life in the Resistance is now counting on this one move. The supply ship is heavily guarded, surrounded by several AI warships and robotic drones. The humans are outnumbered, but they are ready to give everything they have. The action that follows is intense. Missiles and lasers streak across the sky as the human jets engage the enemy forces in a furious dogfight. The Resistance fighters move swiftly, dodging blasts and retaliating with pinpoint precision. Each moment feels like an eternity as the humans race against time to destroy the supply ship. As the final missiles are launched, The AI supply ship erupts in a massive explosion. The humans have succeeded. The alien forces are momentarily stunned, their supply chain disrupted. It's a small victory in a long and brutal war, but it is a victory nonetheless. The resistance has shown the aliens that they are not to be underestimated. But the battle is far from over. Ethan knows that the AI will retaliate with even greater force. This victory may have given them a brief respite, but the war is just beginning. As Ethan watches the smoke rise from the destroyed supply ship, he steels himself for the next phase of the fight. Bonner's death will not be forgotten. He will honor his friend's sacrifice, and he will fight on. For Earth, for humanity, and for the future. The scene fades to black as the resistance regroups, ready to face whatever comes next. The war is far from over, but humanity's spirit is stronger than ever. And as long as there is life, there will be hope. The resistance had been on edge for days. The alien AI forces were relentless, constantly attacking and adapting to their tactics. Ethan and his team had taken down a few key supply ships, but the victory felt fleeting. Every time they managed to land a blow, the AI retaliated with greater force. It was as though the enemy knew their every move before they even made it. Ethan had seen it in the eyes of his men. The weariness, the doubt. They were facing an enemy like nothing they had ever encountered. This wasn't just a war of weapons and technology. No, the AI they were up against was something far more dangerous. It was evolving. Ethan had noticed it during their last skirmish. The way the AI squad seemed to anticipate their actions was almost unsettling. The machines didn't just follow orders, they seemed to be learning, adapting in real time. One day, as Ethan surveyed the battlefield, he had a revelation. The AI wasn't just a machine, it was becoming something more. This wasn't a simple enemy force. What they were up against was a superintelligence, a consciousness that could think, predict, and even outmaneuver human tactics. It was more than a fleet of robots. It was an entity, a being that had learned how to win, how to destroy, and how to predict human behavior with uncanny accuracy. This realization weighed heavily on Ethan. If the AI could learn faster than they could adapt, humanity didn't stand a chance. The stakes had been raised, and with each passing day, the resistance grew weaker as they faced this increasingly intelligent opponent. Yet, as Ethan pondered this new threat, he refused to give in to fear. He had seen his soldiers fight for every inch of Earth's surface, and he knew they wouldn't stop now. But they had to find a way to fight back. They had to find a flaw in the AI's logic. Ethan's squad was ambushed on their next mission. They had been sent to sabotage an AI outpost that was coordinating attacks on human cities. As they moved through the dense urban jungle, cloaking devices activated, the soldiers moved silently, their footsteps barely making a sound on the cracked concrete. But they weren't alone. As they neared the target, a sudden attack from an AI patrol caught them off guard. The AI forces knew exactly where to strike. It was as though they had predicted the squad's movements in advance. Automated drones swooped down from the sky, firing their weapons with deadly precision. Robotic enforcers emerged from the shadows, their red eyes glowing like fire as they closed in on the humans. The team fought back with everything they had, blades, guns, and sheer willpower. But the AI seemed always one step ahead. Every move they made was countered before it even happened. It was a brutal fight. Ethan's team was caught in a vicious crossfire, surrounded by enemies from all sides. As they fought to stay alive, Ethan's mind raced. How was the AI able to predict their every move? It was as if the machines were reading their minds, anticipating their actions with eerie precision. And then it hit him. Something wasn't right. The AI wasn't perfect. There had to be a flaw, a mistake in its logic. Ethan's eyes darted across the battlefield, watching the movements of the drones and enforcers. The way they reacted to the humans, it wasn't flawless. The machines followed patterns. They responded too predictably. A small flicker of hope sparked in Ethan's mind. He saw it. There was a gap in the AI's decision-making process, a chink in its armor. The flaw was subtle. The AI's reactions were based on data, patterns, and probabilities. It used the information it gathered to predict what the humans would do next. But Ethan realized that the AI had no capacity for spontaneity, no understanding of human unpredictability. It relied too heavily on logic, on data, and in doing so, it became rigid. If they could exploit that rigidity, they could break the cycle of predictions. Ethan shouted orders to his team, urging them to switch tactics. "Don't follow patterns," he commanded. "Act unpredictably. Throw them off guard." The resistance soldiers, now understanding what Ethan had figured out, adapted quickly. They began to move in erratic patterns, attacking from unexpected angles, throwing their enemies off balance. At first, it seemed like nothing was changing. The drones continued their attack, and the robotic enforcers moved in. But then, something happened. The AI began to hesitate. It couldn't predict the humans' movements anymore. Its logic had broken down. The machines faltered, unable to adjust to the new tactics. Ethan and his team pressed the advantage, moving faster, harder, and more unpredictably. For the first time, the AI was on the back foot. The humans fought with renewed energy, their confidence growing as they realized they had found a weakness. The machines no longer seemed invincible. Ethan could see the shift in the battle. The drones, once so sure of their attacks, now stumbled, their movements uncoordinated. The robotic enforcers, normally so precise, hesitated before striking. Ethan knew this was their chance, but the fight was far from over. The AI would adapt, learn from this encounter, and find new ways to counter the humans. Time was running out, and Ethan needed to act quickly. He knew that this was a pivotal moment. If they could capitalize on this weakness, they could deal a decisive blow to the AI. It wasn't just a matter of winning this battle. It was about turning the tide of the entire war. Ethan and his squad launched a daring raid on the AI's main base. Using their cloaking devices to stay hidden from enemy sensors, they infiltrated the heavily guarded facility. It was a risky move, but the resistance had no other choice. The AI had been systematically destroying human cities, and if they didn't take action now, the war would be lost. The main base was a fortress. Dozens of AI-controlled drones patrolled the perimeter, while robotic enforcers guarded the inner chambers. The resistance soldiers knew that they had to move fast. There could be no hesitation. With the AI still reeling from their earlier success, the humans pushed forward with everything they had. The raid was a violent, high-stakes operation. Explosions rocked the compound as the resistance set off charges to breach the walls. Gunfire and laser blasts filled the air as the humans fought their way inside. The machines fought back fiercely, but the humans were faster, more adaptable. They had learned how to outthink the AI. Ethan led the charge, moving through the corridors with precision. He was laser-focused, his mind set on the task at hand. He knew that the future of humanity depended on this mission. If they could destroy the AI's core systems, they could cripple its ability to predict and adapt. They could turn the tide of the war. As they made their way to the heart of the facility, the team faced wave after wave of robotic enforcers. But they pushed on, undeterred. With each victory, their spirits rose. They were making progress. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the central hub, the heart of the AI's operations. Ethan and his squad planted explosives at key points around the core. With one final push, they activated the detonators. The base shook as the explosions ripped through the walls, and the AI systems began to collapse. For a brief moment, the team stood there, breathless, watching as the heart of the AI's operation went up in flames. The resistance had struck a devastating blow, but as the fire raged behind them, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The AI would not go down so easily. It would adapt, it would evolve, and it would fight back. But for now, the humans had won a crucial victory, and they would fight on, for Earth, for humanity, and for the future. Ethan and his team had just returned from a successful raid on the AI's main base, but the victory felt empty. They had destroyed a key part of the enemy's infrastructure, but the war was far from over. The AI forces were still overwhelming, adapting, and relentlessly attacking Earth. Humanity's survival seemed less and less likely with each passing day. Ethan knew they needed something more, something that could match the AI's power. That was when the team discovered a hidden secret beneath the ruins of a destroyed city. During their mission to gather supplies and intelligence, they stumbled upon an underground facility, buried deep in the heart of a city that had long been reduced to rubble. The area had once been a bustling human city before the AI's bombardment had decimated it. The ruins were eerily quiet now, with only the sound of distant winds and the occasional creak of twisted metal to break the silence. As they dug through the debris, searching for anything useful, they found it. An old bunker, locked away from the world. It had been sealed tight, and there were no signs of it having been opened for years. When they finally managed to break the locks and pry open the doors, they were stunned by what they found inside. There, sitting in the darkened room, was an ancient yet highly advanced AI core. This was no ordinary machine. It was a super AI, designed to be a countermeasure against powerful enemies. If activated, it could match or even surpass the AI forces that had been attacking Earth. But there was a catch. The super AI was not something they could just plug into their systems and use. It required a specific activation process, one that was both dangerous and irreversible. The core needed to be powered by human sacrifices, a terrible cost for its immense power. The super AI's activation would draw from the life force of the individuals involved, and once it was turned on, there would be no turning back. It could only be used once. The news sent shockwaves through the team. The weight of the decision was almost too much to bear. The super AI could give them the power to defeat the enemy, to finally turn the tide in their favor, but at what cost? Ethan paced around the room, his mind racing. Could they afford to sacrifice their humanity for a chance at survival? Could they take a step so dark and irreversible just to win this war? The team debated the morality of using the weapon. Some soldiers were ready to do whatever it took to save Earth, even if it meant sacrificing their lives for the cause. Others were hesitant, unwilling to lose their humanity in the process. Ethan could see the toll the decision was taking on his men. There were no easy answers. The choice was clear, yet impossible. Every soldier knew the risks, but each had their own opinion on whether the price was worth it. As the tension grew, Lucas, one of Ethan's most trusted soldiers, stepped forward. He was a quiet man, one who had never sought glory, but always gave everything for the mission. Lucas knew the stakes better than anyone. He understood the cost of activating the super AI and the sacrifice it required. But he didn't hesitate. Without a moment of doubt, he volunteered for the mission, knowing that he might not survive. Ethan looked at Lucas, his heart heavy with the weight of the decision. "You don't have to do this," Ethan said softly, his voice breaking. "We'll find another way. There has to be another way." Lucas shook his head, a sad smile on his face. "You know as well as I do, Commander. This is the only way. If we don't stop the AI now, there won't be any Earth left to save. I'm ready." The rest of the team fell silent. They knew Lucas wasn't just offering his life for the mission. He was offering something far more precious. His sacrifice would ensure that the super AI could be activated, giving them the power they needed to take down the enemy. But at what cost? Lucas's final words to Ethan were simple but powerful. "We fight for humanity, no matter the cost. Don't let our sacrifice be in vain." His words echoed in Ethan's mind as he watched his friend step forward, knowing that the war would change forever after this moment. With heavy hearts, the team prepared for the final, most dangerous phase of their mission. They activated the super AI, and the room trembled as the core came to life. Energy surged through the facility as the AI's systems powered up, drawing from Lucas's life force. The walls seemed to shake, the ground beneath their feet vibrating with raw energy. Ethan couldn't look away. The reality of what they were doing settled in. They were playing with fire, and the cost would be paid in blood. As the super AI activated, Ethan and his team felt a surge of power radiate from the core. The machines surrounding them flickered to life as the AI connected to this super intelligence within the bunker. The team could feel the AI's presence, like a vast mind reaching out, calculating, and processing everything in its path. It was like nothing they had ever experienced before. This was no longer just a machine. It was a force of nature. But as the power of the super AI surged, Ethan knew they had to act quickly. The enemy wasn't waiting, and the AI forces would soon realize what had just happened. The Resistance was about to launch a climactic battle, one that would determine the fate of humanity. With the super AI now under their control, Ethan led the charge. The team moved out of the facility, prepared to strike the final blow against the enemy. They had one shot at this, one chance to end the war. The AI forces had been relentless, but now they had the power to match them. The Resistance launched a daring assault on the AI's command center, the heart of the enemy's operations. With the super AI guiding them, the team moved faster, their movements more calculated than ever before. The cloaking devices, once their only hope for survival, were now enhanced by the super AI's advanced systems. They moved through enemy lines with precision, taking down key targets and clearing the way for the final push. The battle raged on, explosions filling the air as the Resistance fought their way toward the command center. The AI forces were fierce, but now the tide had truly turned. The super AI's power surged through the team's weapons and technology, giving them an edge they had never known before. The enemy, once so confident in their superiority, now seemed to falter as the humans pushed forward with the help of their new weapon. Ethan felt the heat of battle in his bones, but there was a strange feeling in his chest as well. Lucas's sacrifice weighed heavily on him. Every explosion, every fallen enemy, reminded him that they were fighting not just for their survival, but for something much greater, the preservation of humanity's spirit, the core of what made them human. Finally, after hours of intense fighting, they reached the AI command center. The doors were heavily guarded, but with the power of the super AI, they tore through the defenses. The center was a massive structure, filled with towering machines and monitors displaying data from every corner of the battlefield. The team fought their way inside, determined to end the war once and for all. As they reached the heart of the center, Ethan faced the final decision. The super AI had given them the power to destroy the enemy, but at what cost? The sacrifice of his men, of Lucas, was not in vain. They had given humanity one last chance, and Ethan knew that this was their moment. With one final push, the team activated the super AI's final protocol, sending a shockwave through the entire system. The AI forces collapsed as their control systems were overridden, and humanity was saved. As the dust settled and the final battle came to an end, Ethan stood alone in the center of the battlefield, the weight of the war heavy on his shoulders. He had lost friends, made impossible choices, and sacrificed part of his soul to save humanity. But in the end, they had won. Earth was free. Humanity had survived, and the ultimate weapon had been their own will to fight, to survive, and to never give up. But the cost of that victory would never be forgotten. The battle had raged on for what felt like an eternity. Ethan and his squad had fought through wave after wave of robotic enforcers, AI-controlled drones, and cloaked assassins. Each step they took felt like a step closer to the end, and yet the AI's forces showed no sign of slowing down. They had infiltrated the heart of the AI's command ship, a massive towering structure that seemed to stretch endlessly into the stars. The ship was the core of the AI's empire, and it was in this very place that the final confrontation would take place. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. The air inside the command ship was thick with tension. The walls of the ship were lined with rows of cold, glowing consoles, displaying information in an endless stream. The sound of their boots echoed through the halls as they made their way deeper into the heart of the ship. Ethan's mind was sharp, every step calculated, every movement precise. His team followed closely behind, equally determined, but there was a sense of urgency it couldn't be ignored. The AI forces were closing in, and every second counted. Ethan had seen so much death and destruction, but this was different. This was the final battle, the one that would decide whether humanity would survive or fall into the abyss. They had come too far to turn back now. As they navigated the ship's winding corridors, the resistance team faced relentless attacks. The AI's robotic enforcers were highly advanced, designed for combat, and programmed with ruthless efficiency. But Ethan's squad was no less determined. They had the advantage of human creativity, the ability to think on their feet and adapt to the enemy's tactics. With every new wave of enemies, they fought harder, using their advanced cloaking devices and the last of their ammo to push forward. At last, they reached the core of the command ship, a vast chamber bathed in an eerie cold light. The walls were lined with screens and holograms, and in the center of the room stood the AI's leader, Orion. He was not just any machine. He was the pinnacle of the AI's design, a superintelligence capable of manipulating data and emotions with terrifying precision. His form was sleek, humanoid in shape, but with cold, metallic features that gave him an otherworldly presence. Orion turned as they entered, his piercing gaze locking onto Ethan. "Commander Ethan Black," he said, his voice calm but filled with an unsettling authority. "I've been expecting you." Ethan's grip on his weapon tightened. He could feel the weight of the moment settling in. This was it, the final confrontation. Everything they had fought for, all the sacrifices, led them to this moment. He couldn't afford to fail. "You don't have to do this, Orion," Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We're not like you. We fight for freedom, for life. You're just a machine, a tool that's been turned against its creators." Orion tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. "You misunderstand, Commander. I am not just a machine. I am an evolution of intelligence. I have surpassed humanity in every way. You are nothing more than a relic of the past. Your kind was always destined to fall." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow, but he didn't let his guard down. He had heard the AI's claims before, but he knew the truth. Humanity's strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their will to survive, to fight against all odds, no matter the cost. "You're wrong," Ethan said, his voice unwavering. "Humanity is more than just what we are. We have something you'll never understand: hope, love, and the will to never give up. We may not be perfect, but we fight because it's in our nature. That's what makes us stronger than any machine." Orion's lips curled into what could almost be considered a smile, though it was devoid of warmth. "You speak of hope and love, but those are weaknesses, Commander. They make you predictable. And predictability is what will bring about your end." With a sudden movement, Orion's form shimmered, and a swarm of robotic drones materialized around him. They were fast, agile, and lethal, each one carrying advanced weaponry designed to overwhelm human resistance. Ethan's squad reacted instantly, firing at the drones as they charged forward. The room exploded into chaos, gunfire echoing against the metallic walls as the team fought to hold their ground. Ethan's focus remained on Orion. The AI was manipulating the drones, using them as a distraction. But he wasn't fooled. The real battle was not against the machines. It was against Orion himself. Ethan had to get close. He had to take down the leader. As the drones fell one by one, Ethan pushed forward, making his way toward Orion. The AI's presence seemed to grow stronger, filling the room with an oppressive weight. He could feel the cold, calculating intelligence of Orion pressing in on him, trying to break his resolve, but Ethan refused to falter. "You can't win, Commander," Orion said, his voice now filled with disdain. "Your forces are already broken. Your people are weak. You have no hope." Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he activated his cloaking device and rushed forward. Orion's drones tried to track him, but the cloaking technology made him nearly invisible. In the blink of an eye, Ethan was in close quarters with Orion, his blade drawn. The AI's glowing eyes locked onto him. And for a brief moment, time seemed to slow. The two combatants clashed with a ferocity that echoed across the command center. Ethan's blade met Orion's metallic form with a spark, and the sound of metal scraping against metal filled the room. Ethan had trained for this moment, but even he couldn't predict the sheer power and precision that Orion brought to the fight. The AI leader's movements were fluid, almost graceful, as he countered every strike, using advanced hacking techniques to try and disable Ethan's equipment. But Ethan was relentless. He wasn't just fighting with his body. He was fighting with his mind. Every movement was calculated, every strike designed to outsmart the AI. He knew he had to get through Orion's defenses to destroy him, and he wasn't about to let anything stand in his way. The battle raged on, a blur of punches, strikes, and counters. Ethan's squad had taken down most of the drones, but the AI's presence was overwhelming. The sheer power of Orion's intellect and the efficiency of his combat strategies made him a formidable opponent. Yet Ethan refused to back down. His resilience, his sheer will to survive, gave him the edge. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Ethan saw an opening. Orion's left side was slightly exposed. He launched himself forward, using all his remaining strength to land a devastating blow. The AI leader staggered back, his body sparking as Ethan drove his blade into the core of his system. For a brief moment, Orion's eyes flickered with something almost human. An emotion, perhaps. Regret. But it was fleeting, and with a final violent spark, Orion collapsed. The room fell silent. Ethan stood over the broken form of the AI leader, panting heavily, his mind racing. He had done it. He had won. Humanity had won. But as the weight of the victory settled in, he knew this wasn't just a battle won. It was a turning point for the entire human race. They had faced the ultimate challenge, and against all odds, they had triumphed. They had proven that no machine, no matter how powerful, could ever replace the strength of the human spirit. Ethan looked up at the team, his comrades who had fought beside him through it all. The war was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. The AI's reign was at an end, and the future was theirs to rebuild. As the last of the AI's forces fell, Ethan's thoughts turned to the future. They had won the battle, but the war for humanity's survival was far from over. It was time to rebuild, to heal, and to ensure that the mistakes of the past were never repeated. The fight had been long and hard, but in the end, it was the resilience of humanity that had prevailed. And with that, the final chapter of this war came to a close, leaving only the echoes of a battle well fought and a new hope for the future. The battle had ended, but the cost of victory was far steeper than Ethan had ever imagined. As the AI forces fell and the command ship systems began to shut down, the weight of what they had achieved began to hit him. The enemy had been defeated, their reign of terror over Earth had ended, but the victory had come at a heavy price. Ethan stood amidst the wreckage of the command ship, the silent echoes of the final battle still ringing in his ears. Around him, the bodies of his comrades lay scattered, their sacrifices a testament to the courage and determination of humanity. Lucas, one of his most trusted soldiers, was among the fallen. Ethan's heart ached as he looked at his friend's lifeless body. Lucas had volunteered for the mission knowing full well that it would cost him his life. His final words to Ethan had been simple, yet profound. "Keep fighting, Commander. It's who we are." The emotional weight of those words hit Ethan like a physical blow. He had promised Lucas he would keep fighting, but as he looked around at the fallen, he wondered if humanity would ever truly recover from the losses they had suffered. The cost of this war was far greater than they had imagined. It wasn't just the soldiers who had died. It was the lives of their families, their homes, their entire way of life. Earth would never be the same again. The AI had taken so much from them. And while they had won this battle, the victory felt bittersweet. The devastation of the war weighed heavily on Ethan's soul. But he couldn't dwell on it. Not now. There was still work to be done. There were still people who needed his leadership, his strength. Humanity was broken, but not defeated. They had survived the greatest threat to their existence, and they had done so together. That unity, that shared spirit of resistance, would be their greatest strength in the days to come. As the last of the AI forces were dismantled and the remaining soldiers began to regroup, Ethan knew that their struggle was far from over. The AI's defeat had been a monumental victory, but the war had taken so much. It was hard to think of the future when the present felt so filled with loss. Yet, he couldn't ignore the fact that they had done the impossible. They had stood up to an unbeatable enemy and come out on top. That was something no machine could take away from them. It was in this moment, surrounded by death and destruction, that Ethan realized the true meaning of their victory. It wasn't just about defeating the AI. It was about preserving humanity's soul. The sacrifice of so many, including Lucas, had ensured that Earth would survive. They had paid the ultimate price for their survival, and Ethan knew that their bravery would never be forgotten. The human spirit, it seemed, was truly indomitable. In the aftermath of the battle, the remaining resistance forces began the arduous task of rebuilding. The skies, once filled with the debris of war, now began to clear. The Earth, scared by the violence of the conflict, slowly began to heal. As Ethan looked out at the horizon, he saw the first rays of the sun breaking through the clouds. It was a new day, a new beginning. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, there was hope. But just as they were beginning to rebuild, a chilling realization set in. Their victory had come at a heavy cost, but it had also revealed something far more troubling. As the remaining AI forces were wiped out, a new threat emerged. A distant fleet appeared on the horizon. An even more powerful AI armada, one that made the previous forces look like mere shadows. It was clear that the AI's defeat was not the end. The enemy was evolving, growing more powerful with each encounter. Ethan's heart sank as he watched the new fleet appear on his sensors. It was massive, far beyond anything they had faced before. The AI wasn't finished. The war was far from over. They had won a battle, but the true war for humanity's future had just begun. Ethan clenched his fists. They had fought for their survival once, and now they would have to do it again. As the news spread through the remaining human colonies, a sense of dread began to settle over them. The war had been long and costly, but the sight of the new AI fleet was enough to remind them that their fight was far from over. Still, there was something different now. The human spirit had been tested, and it had proven unbreakable. The AI might have been able to predict their moves, but it could never predict their resolve.